From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, and it is time for the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles Live. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I hope you are feeling the same. And I'm just looking forward to a big weekend coming up and everything like that with the sports weekend. But, you know, we got tonight. We got 6 games in the NBA tonight. We got 70 games in college basketball today as well, too. So there's a lot to get into, but I'm not going to get into 70 college basketball games. You guys don't have to worry about that. So let's go ahead and see exactly what we are getting ourselves into to start the day. Breaking news, Frank Reich has agreed to become the next head coach of the Carolina Panthers. Now, what does this mean for the NFL and for the NFC South moving forward? It means that the Carolina Panthers have went ahead and got their first ever player that they put on their roster, because Frank Reich was actually part of the expansion draft, and he was picked by the Carolina Panthers. He was actually their original starting quarterback as well, too. So, you know, Frank Reich, it was funny because the Carolina Panthers weren't that bad their first season in the league. I think they finished 8-8 to be exact, to be honest with you. So Frank Reich has some history with this team. He played for this team. He actually worked for this team as well, too, years ago as well. So Frank Reich has a lot of experience here with the Carolina Panthers. He got his job from being the offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles, and he found himself in Indianapolis, and Indianapolis was able to do pretty good his first year. They have Phillip Rivers. They were able to get to the playoffs. And then last year, they were a game away from getting to the playoffs, and they wound up losing that game to Jacksonville. And then by the time we got to week 9, this guy was already out of a job. Pretty much what happened was everything just ran its course in Indianapolis. I think that he was having a real issue with the front office, but who wouldn't have an issue with a front office that decided to hire a guy that was not even on a coaching staff as his replacement? So coaching staff, or was even a part of a staff. He was an ESPN analyst. So literally, the Indianapolis coach went from being a feasible team to an absolute joke, and it wasn't on Frank Reich. Frank Reich was just just a part of circumstance at the end of the day. So he was able to go to this Carolina interview and get himself another gig. You know, fresh off of being fired mid-season, and then he gets himself a good job. Sounds like Ron Rivera all over again. Ron Rivera was fired by the Panthers, and then was absolutely he was never had to wait on being a head coach again. He was picked up by the Washington Commanders right away. At that time, he was the perfect coach for what they were going through as well, too, with the transition going from the Redskins to the Commanders. So it was pretty big for him in a sense as well, too. But when I look at this move, I say to myself that the Panthers are really serious about bringing in a good leader. You know what I mean? A good leader. And I think Frank Reich was a great leader for the Colts. It's just that they have an impatient owner who felt that the team is still going to be who they were when they had Peyton Manning. It doesn't work like that. Peyton Manning was a generational player, and the Colts just have to understand that they are a middle-of-the-road team, middling franchise in a smaller market, and you can't expect Super Bowl year in, year out. But I do know the expectations were to compete in the AFC South, because they were seen as the favorite in the AFC South because they had added Matt Ryan, and it just didn't work out. And I think that this is going to be a better fit for him because he can actually build this team, unlike in Indianapolis. So we'll see how it goes, but I know that he will probably be drafting a quarterback as well too here in this top 10. I know that they're literally begging for it in Carolina for a rookie quarterback to be drafted. But I thought that Sam Darnold was able to get all of his demons out in New York, and he's actually becoming a very credible quarterback in the NFL. I would think that possibly Carolina might want to just be on a cheap this year and go ahead and just run with their already starting quarterback and draft and necessarily you don't have to draft a future starting quarterback in the first round. I think that's being oversold a bit too much. As you guys can see, Brock Purdy has now became the apple of everybody's eye, and he was Mr. Irrelevant. So it's really not about where you're picking these quarterbacks at. It's about their skill level. So I think that all in all, Carolina will probably be taking the best player on the board, whoever's available at that point for them in the first round. And I think that Frank Reich will be able to get a lot out of this team that they just couldn't get out with guys like Matt Rule. But I'm still fairly surprised that they just didn't stay with their coordinator, Steve Wilkes, who did an absolutely exceptional job getting this team all the way to the brink of winning the NFC South. So that's another topic for another day. And we move forward to our next topic in hand, and that's going to be what happened to Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni, head coach of the league, leading Eagles wins wise, even though they are kind of tied, but they did have the best record in the league pretty much pretty much after week 8. They were still undefeated. So you have Nick Sirianni, Coach of the Year award finalists were announced. Coach of the Year finalists don't include Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni. Was it a snub or not? I would say that it wasn't a snub. I know a lot of people say, no, he got snubbed. I know earlier I heard that they felt he was super snubbed, but I would say this. I think that he's another guy that it's circumstance. At the end of the day, same type of situation with Frank Reich. You have a franchise that was fed up with their head coach on probably a personal level, because what was going on with the quarterback that he had drafted and the quarterback that the new GM had drafted. So he was very loyal to Carson Wentz, and that was pretty much the end of his tenure. But he did make Jalen Hurts somewhat look like he could be a starter in the NFL. So he was fired. So Nick Sirianni, a nobody coordinator, nobody knew who Nick Sirianni was coming into this. You know what I mean? You can say you did, but you did not know who he was. And everybody kind of chuckled a little bit because he was coming from the Indianapolis Colts. And the Indianapolis Colts weren't like, they were a good offense, but they weren't like, I would say Kansas City or anything like that. But Sirianni had some type of glow to him that Philadelphia really liked. I really felt like Philadelphia hired him because they wanted to go cheap on a coach, because they overspent on Chip Kelly and they gave Peterson an extension. So they wanted to say, okay, let's go cheap on this, and we're in a rebuild phase. They were literally trying to be in a rebuild phase. They didn't see Jalen Hurts as their future quarterback. They saw Jalen Hurts as a bridge to their next quarterback. But Jalen Hurts was able to show how great of a leader he was and how good he was and lead that team to the playoffs. And then this season, everything came full circle for him at the end of the day. I truly do feel like this one right here is a snub, because isn't a snub because Sirianni is a little cocky, and it's good to be cocky and everything like that, because you're making great calls. But he looks really, 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 really out of place a lot. He doesn't look like the common head coach, and I know that shouldn't play into you actually getting this shouldn't play into you actually being, not at it, but I think that the team is so good that he's literally running with a team that was pretty much already being coached up pretty good by Doug Peterson. It was just a situation that occurred to where they couldn't continue. So I really feel like he's coaching Doug Peterson's team. About 30%, 40% of the roster was a part of that group that played in the Super Bowl a few years back as well, too. Well, a lot of the main characters. And it's not the quarterback, but you got Kelsey and Lane Johnson, and you have Fletcher as well too. You have a lot of guys who were in that locker room a few years back. So these guys are leading themselves, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Sirianni is just a part of a great moment, in my opinion. And I think that they know this because they want to see how it looks when he's really under a real microscope and being in a tough game. He can go ahead and wrong all of his critics this weekend with a big win over San Francisco, and then topping that off with a win in the Super Bowl. It doesn't really matter about who you winning Coach of the Year. We've seen guys win Coach of the Year one year and then get fired the next season. So this might be a very overrated award in a sense as well too. I think they always are looking at coaches that improve teams that they did not expect to be a good team. And so pretty much like I said before, a few weeks back, I had Brian DeBall winning the head coach of the year. Okay. And then they have Doug Peterson there as a candidate for coach of the year. So pretty much that's how I see it. I think that we have ourselves a very, very good situation here. I think they got it right. And I think Sirianni has himself some motivation. Let's just keep it real. That's some motivation for the next run. So it is what it is. At the end of the day, they have a big game coming up this weekend, and those two other against the other coach that's actually nominated, Mike Shanahan, but the other two coaches are not even a part of the final weekend. So, that's a compliment to I think Sirianni would want to be more into coaching the conference championship game than being up for an award, and his team's nowhere near there. So it is what it is at the end of the day. Sirianni was not snubbed at all. I think that it's really the team is that good to the point to where the coach will not get the biggest credit for why this team is really good. You know what I mean? Because they almost made the playoffs before Sirianni got there. So it's not a big deal really at the end of the day. It's just, it is what it is. You know what I mean? So with that, we move forward. Let's go ahead and jump into our next topic, which is going to be the UCLA Bruins on a bounce back situation. Number 8 UCLA Bruins looking to bounce back at USC tonight at the Galen Center. And you got really good matchup here. UCLA had a really tough time with USC last time they played. They really needed a few lucky bounces their way to get that win. That was probably, other than their Arizona loss, the toughest game they played in the Pac-12 this year. And it wasn't surprising because it's USC. USC has been beating up on the Bruins the last few years like the Clippers beat up on the Lakers in a sense. So, it doesn't matter how good UCLA is. This is the team that's the thorn in their side. You know what I mean? And they know that this game is really huge because they just had a 13-game winning streak snapped, and they lost that game by 6. They want to come back and really, really get a nice win here because the Bruins do get the next 7 days off after this because they did play a nice amount of games over here in the last 2 weeks as well. They've been playing twice a week, so they finally do get some time off a bit this weekend. They don't have to worry about a Saturday game this weekend. I'm surprised they're playing this game on Thursday night. I would think that the way that UCLA is playing this year, they would have put this game on a Saturday night. So they go into this game looking to get themselves all the way right. Now, USC is a team that has been very middling this year. USC's 14-6 coming into the game. They actually won their last game against Arizona State in a good effort, beating them by 8. And they did lose to Arizona, losing by 15. So Arizona got both California teams. And they're coming off a good sweep at Galen Center last time out, beating Colorado and Utah. And those were very decisive games in their favor as well. But this team has not had a consistent winning streak all season. They at one point they did win 7 in a row, and then they dropped 2 in a row, 1, 2 in a row, and then they split their last 2 games with a loss and a win. So this team is playing good, feasible basketball, but they are in a spot to upset the Bruins tonight. I won't even act like that's not a reality for the Bruins. So the Bruins really need to look at this game like it's a tournament game tonight to get themselves in gear. Now, when I look at the stats for this game, you have USC averaging 71.3 points per game, and you have them shooting pretty good from the field goal percentage as well. And then when it comes down to their best player, that's going to be Boogie Ellis. Boogie Ellis is out here killing it with getting 15.6 a game. And then Dixon Waters is doing his thing with the 9.4. So these guys only have 2 double-digit scores, and I think this will probably be something that's an advantage to UCLA. So tonight, the Bruins really do need to take advantage of this team and their low and try to make others on this team beat you than the 3 I just mentioned. Now, UCLA, on the other hand, they got 4 seniors in this group that are just absolutely tremendous. Okay, they're all averaging double figures. And then Amari Bailey steps in with his 9.5. Bona gets 8.4. And a guy that I've really started to really like a lot is Dylan Andrews. I know that he didn't do much in the Arizona game because he didn't get that much playing time, but he was really good in the Arizona State game. And he was really good in the Utah game. So hopefully he'll get some buckets tonight. He played against USC. Last time he played against USC, he hit for 1-3. But this kid from Gardena is really good. So you guys have to keep your eye out on him. He's a good player. I really do like what he's coming with. And Will McClendon, once he gets into a rhythm, he should be really good as well, too. And hopefully Mac Eaton gets some playing time tonight as well. I really like this kid. I think that he can he's a really good post player. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. UCLA looking to bounce back. That game will be on ESPN2 tonight, 6 p.m. Pacific time. So you guys, there goes the channel and where it will be at. And you guys, we'll talk more about it tomorrow on the breakdown for that game. So let's go ahead and get into our CBB game of the day, which is going to feature the #1 team in the nation, the Purdue Boilermakers. And the Boilermakers coming here 19-1, going against Michigan 11-8. Michigan has had a tough time this year, getting some consistent winning. They did really hit rock bottom this year, losing to a really bad Central Michigan team. So there's a lot of things there's a lot of red flags around this Michigan team. But this is the type of game where Juwan Howard figures it out and gets himself a good win. Now, they have dropped their last 3 out of 5, but they did win their last game, but barely, against a really bad Minnesota team. They beat them by 4. So it goes to show you the state of the Wolverines right now. They're not a good team. And they haven't been getting blown out. They just haven't been consistently winning. For every time they win 3 games, they'll lose 1. And it's kind of been like the case all season. And they just didn't do well when it was time to play against the big boys. So they have a little bit of, some figuring out to do. But like I said before, I just feel like Juwan Howard isn't a good fit as their head coach. And that's why they're in the position that they're in now. So I think when it all comes down to it tonight against this very good Purdue team, Michigan's going to have to remember that they can't slack. They have to be able to take care of their business. They dropped games that they should have won this year, and they're going to be playing at home as well, too, so they'll have their crowd behind them. Purdue's won 6 in a row since they lost to Rutgers, and Rutgers only beat them by 1. But people have to understand, though, they've been having themselves some really tough games as of late, too. They beat Michigan State by 1 on the road, and then they came back around and only beat Maryland by 3 last Sunday at home. So they got Michigan tonight on the road, and this should be a game that they buckle down and tighten up, because if they don't tighten up, they'll lose this game tonight. Like, for sure, they'll lose this game tonight. And the spread's even saying jump all over Michigan, because 5.5 on a home team that has a penchant for the upset, that's a good number. But if it would have been 2.5 or something like that, Purdue would be a great play here. But I think the better play here is going to be Michigan. I think that covering is absolute tonight. Winning is going to be a bonus. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But Purdue at Michigan, our CBB game of the day, and that's how I see how that game is going to go. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. And when I get back, we're going to jump into the state of the Lakers and the NBA Thursday night with the 5 games that I have selected for you guys. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles Live.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, so here we are. Let's go ahead and jump into it. This is going to be the state of the Lakers, and the Lakers did get themselves a good win last night. They are now sitting 23-20. Actually, I think it's 24-26 for the year. The Lakers are just getting closer and closer to being in a playoff spot. So a lot of us have to understand that the Lakers are not going to miss the playoffs. You know, I know a lot of people wanted them to miss the playoffs, but I don't think they missed the playoffs this year. I think getting Hachimura and bringing back AD is bringing a lot of confidence to this team. And AD actually was the leading scorer last night. Round of applause for that, because AD comes back. He gets 21 points last night, 12 rebounds. LeBron had 20 points, 9 rebounds, 11 assists. But LeBron did lead the game in turnovers with 6. So, you know, but that's all good because the Lakers kind of needed to show some aggressiveness last night, and they absolutely did. Troy Brown, I thought, was pretty good last night. He hit 2 nice little threes and everything. But a player who was really significant last night, crazy, and I know I'm always dogging him, was Pat Beverly. Pat Beverly actually shot 50% from the field, and he was 3-7 from the three-point line. Wound up getting himself 18 points last night. So that was very helpful, Pat Bev getting that 18 points. You know, Tommy Bryant was good last night as well, too. He was able to get 9 points, 8 rebounds as well. I'm looking at the Lakers' shooting percentage last night. They won the field goal battle, 44.4 to 37.7. Also, the three-point battle, they 30.3 to 23.5. That's crazy because the Spurs team go 8 for 34. The Lakers went 10 for 33. They both, to me, shot pretty bad from the three-point line. You have free throws. You have that was probably what kept the Spurs in the game most of the night. They hit for 88%, 16 out of 18. The Lakers, 76%, 23 out of 30. Now, the Lakers did win the assist the battle of assists at 25-22. Rebounds, the Lakers had 56 of them last night to the Spurs 48. But the Spurs wound up getting 17 offensive rebounds. That keeps you in the game as well, too. The Lakers had 12 steals last night, 9 blocks, but then they also had 19 turnovers as well, too. But they forced 14. So the Lakers feeling pretty good about themselves after that one. And I truly do think that what happens here is that we have ourselves a very, 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 very good situation going with the Lake Show right now. I think that a lot of us really will have to understand that this will wind up being one of those games that have a lot to do with, I'm talking about Boston, that have to do with how healthy the Lakers are. And hopefully Lonnie Walker comes into that game as well, too. But the Lakers have moved themselves to 8-5 for the month. So that's really good. That's really, really, really good. So I know I'm getting excited. I know the Lakers are getting it. I know that the Laker faithful are getting excited. But at this time, you got to still just take your time. You know what I mean? You got to take your time. So with that, we're going to go ahead and move forward because there's not much more to talk about. The Lakers get themselves a good 113 and 104 win. It was actually kind of a normal NBA game as well, too. I expected the Lakers to do their nightly 120, 130 point and give it up 120 points, but they didn't. They really locked it in last night, but I think they're a little tired, too, from, playing the night before with the Clippers. So, it is what it is at the end of the day. So let's go ahead and move forward. NBA Wednesday night. We got 6 games tonight. I'm over here. I got games queued up for you guys, and I am excited about them just like you. These are some weird games tonight. We got a lot of playoff tier teams going against a lot of lottery tier teams tonight in this group. So let's see exactly what I mean by that. And up first, we have the Knicks and the Celtics. This is actually a pretty good matchup between two Atlantic division foes. We all know that the Knicks and Celtics got one of the longest running rivalries in the NBA, and I guess they're calling it rivalry week in the NBA, even though that we've never had a rivalry week in the NBA, but they're trying their hardest to keep up with college this year, who's absolutely kicking their butt when it comes to how the game is getting played, because I think a lot of us are getting tired of watching track meets every night in the NBA. So what I have on the Knicks is they're 7-5 this month in the month of January. Also 14-10 straight up on the road. There's 10-14 straight up as an underdog, and they're 2-6 versus the Atlantic Division against the spread and straight up. Now against the spread for the season, they're 25-22-2. On the road, they're 16-8. One of the best teams in the league at that as well too. 12-11-1 against the spread as a dog. And then when it comes to the over-under, in their 49 games, they've went over 24 times and pushed twice. So the Celtics, who are absolutely crushing it this month, they are 9-4 in the month of January. They're 18-5 straight up at home. They're 33-13 as the favorite straight up. They're 6-0 against the Atlantic Division. They're also 26-23 against the spread. They're 13-10 against the spread at home, and they're 24-22 as a favorite. They're 5-1 against the spread versus the Atlantic. And then they in their 49 games, they've went under 25 times. All right. So pretty much with 2 pushes. So I got to always mention the push because I know you guys are like 25 times. You know what I mean? So with this game tonight, I think what happens here is that I'm going to play I think that you play a little, you gotta play this one correctly, in my opinion. You know what I mean? You have to play it in a sense to tell yourself that both these teams have a penchant of playing some defense, and I think the Knicks don't score enough at times. And I know that the Knicks are playing this game to really kind of prove some things tonight, so they're gonna kind of slow this thing down tonight. And I don't think that it gets out of hand like that. I like the under 221.5 here. All right, so let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. All right, we got the Pistons and the Nets. This game is going to be in Brooklyn, baby. We live in Brooklyn, baby. And the Nets are on a back-to-back. They played in Philly last night. And also the Celtics do lead that series 1-0 this year. And the Nets lead this series 1-0 this year, but they played way back in December. Nets won that game by 3. Pistons are 2-8 in the month of January, 6-19 straight up on the road, 11-37 straight up as an underdog, 4-23 straight up versus the Eastern Conference. None of this is made up. These guys are really bad when it comes to the actual winning the game and losing the game. Now, against the spread, though, they're pretty good, 20-26-3. I know you say, how are they pretty good when they're 20-26-3? They cashed the ticket 20 times and they refunded your money 3. So that's not that bad of a that's not that bad for a team that's that bad. You know what I mean? They're 11-12-2 against the spread on the road. They're 8-17-2 against the spread versus the Eastern Conference. And then they're 28-20-1 when it comes to the over and under. So they do have a very good, they have a very good plan in place on how they're going to do this whole, I would say their plan is to make sure that they flop out as many games as possible and then, just see what they can do after that, So pretty much this is, to me, another really bad team that's just going through the motions, and it's not their fault that they're bad. It's just that they were never designed to win, and it is what it is at the end of the day. So pretty much they're just going through the motions. It happens in the NBA, but the Nets, they're doing decent without KD, but they still have a losing record in the month of January. They did lose last night as well too. They're 5-6 in the month of January, 13-7 straight up at home, 22-10 straight up as a favorite, 20-9 straight up versus the East, 23-21, 23-23-1 against the spread, 8-11-1 against the spread at home, 14-17-1 against the spread as a favorite, 13-15-1 against the spread versus the Eastern Conference. Now, when it comes down to the over-under, they've went under in 27 of their 48 games this year. So they got that working for them. Well, 47 games. So 27 and 47 games. So, this team is an under team and all that good stuff. But tonight, I truly do feel like the Pistons actually surprised a lot of people in actually covering this game. I know a lot of people will probably bet against the Pistons because they got this idea that this team might not show up. But these are the nights where these teams really trick us. So I do like the Pistons with the plus 8.5. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it checks out. We move forward from there. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our next game, the Hornets and the Bulls. This game is going to be in Charlotte tonight. So you got the team that Michael Jordan owns and the city that Michael Jordan owns. So pretty much, you got yourself a really good matchup with the Bulls and the Hornets tonight. Really not. It's kind of one-sided. Let's keep it real. You got a Hornets team 13-36. You got a Bulls team 22-25, chasing a playoff spot right now as well too. 6-5 in the month of January, 8-15 straight up on the road, 8-10 straight up as a favorite, and then versus the Eastern Conference, they're 18-14. Now against the spread, 24-21-2 on the road against the spread, 11-11-1 against the spread as a favorite, 7-7-11, and then versus the Eastern Conference as against the spread, 20-10-2. Now when it comes to their 47 games, they've went under in 25 of them. Hornets 3-9 in the month of January. No surprise here. Their team is lousy. They're 5-16 straight up at home. They're 8-31 straight up as an underdog. 6-23 straight up versus the Eastern Conference. And in their 49 games, they're 20-27-2 against the spread. Now, when it comes to being a home team against the spread, they're 6-15. And as an underdog versus the spread, they are 15-22-2 versus the Eastern Conference. When it comes to the spread, 11-17-1. And then when it comes to their 49 games, they've went over in 26 of them. Tonight, I like the over here because Charlotte plays no defense, and their coach even said they play no defense. Also, there's no LaMelo here tonight as well, too, but it doesn't really make a difference. This is a game that the Bulls know they got to win, but the Bulls always figure out ways to score a lot of points, but give up a lot of points as well, too. So that's how I see this one tonight. I know it's a heavy ask, but I do like the over 234.5. And the way that they're scoring the NBA right now, this is damn near turned into a 215, 210 now. Like, this is like how we used to look at a 220 and a 225. Seriously, like a 221 looks like a 205 now. Like, seriously, like, dude, like, what happened to the NBA? So there it is. There it is. All right, so let's move forward. Let's go ahead and jump into the Cavs and the Rockets. The Cavs and the Rockets, another little one-sided matchup. You got a 29-20 Cavs team that is struggling, though. Let's keep it real. They are struggling at this point. And the Rockets are 11-37. The Rockets coming here as a home dog tonight with the plus 8.5 and also over under 221.5 in this spot. So, this is a little weird because, the Rockets do give up a lot of points and they tend to score a lot of points. The Cavs 6-6 in the month of January, but they've been struggling on this little road trip that they've been struggling on the road this month. That's where a majority of their losses are coming from, is on the road. Now, straight up on the road, they're 9-15. 26-13 straight up is a favorite. 11-11 straight up versus the West. And then when it comes to the spread, they're 24-22-3. Now on the road, they're 8-14-2. And then when it comes down to the being against the spread as a favorite, they are 20-16-3, and versus the West, they're 10-12 against the spread. Now, when it comes to their 49 games, they went under in 49 of them. Rockets been absolutely lousy this month, but they did get a win the other night. They are actually 1-11 in the month of January, but they did get a win this week. You know, that's something that they can write home about. And then they're 7-16 straight up at home, 11-34 straight up as an underdog. And it was funny because at one point they were like 7-7. You know, I've covered them like the last 6 weeks, and I gave you guys those numbers. They were 7-7. So it just goes to show you they've lost a ton of games here at home as of late. They're 11-34 straight up as an underdog. They're 5-10 straight up versus the Eastern Conference. And then when it comes down to the spread, they're 18-28-2. They actually were a little bit better against the spread, but once again, this month has just been really bad for them. And they're 10-11-2 against the spread at home. 18-25-2 against the spread as an underdog. And then versus the Eastern Conference, they're 7-7-1 against the spread. Now they're split right down the middle when it comes to their 48 games at 24. When it comes down to this one tonight, though, I think that the Cavs absolutely roll in this spot. Even though they're not a great road team, I still think that they just roll in this spot because the Rockets are reeling right now. And the better you are, the worse it is for this team, to be honest. But it seems like they're having the same issues with the really bad teams as well, too. It just don't matter. Like, this team is absolutely showing no effort to be better, in my opinion. So it is what it is at the end of the day. I like the Cavs here. I never like taking a road favorite with -9. It probably won't work out, but you know what? I just can't trust the Rockets tonight. I wanted to, but I just can't. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our next matchup, and that's going to be the final matchup I'm talking about. That's going to be the Mavericks and the Suns. This is a good game, and this is a TNT game. That's why I'm covering it, because TNT is, you know, the lifeblood of the NBA. Literally, without TNT, I don't think the NBA could really move forward, because Barkley and crew are like saviors. Both these teams are 1-1 this year when it comes to their matchups in the season series. The Mavs are not having a great month. They're 3-8 right now in the month of January. They're 8-15 straight up on the road. They're 2-11 straight up as an underdog. They're 18-11 straight up versus the West, and then they're 16-31-2 against the spread. Now, when it comes down to being on the road, they're 7-16 against the spread on the road. They're 12-17 against the spread versus the West. And then when it comes down to the over and under, with the 49 games, they've went over in 28 of them. Now, the Suns, they're 5-7 in the month of January. They've won their last 5 games in a row after starting this month off 1-6. So, after losing their first 7 out of 8 games this month, they now have won 4 in a row. They are 18-7 straight up at home, one of the best records in the league. 19-11 straight up as a favorite this year. 19-13 against the spread and straight up versus the Western Conference. And against the spread, they're 26-23. And against the spread at home, they're 15-10. And when it comes down to their 49 games, they've went under in 25 of them. When I look at this one tonight, I'm going to circle the Suns because it's a national television game in Phoenix. And I truly do think that right now the Mavs are struggling just a little bit because Luka's doing a lot of shooting and less passing at this moment. And I think they do better when he's able to balance both. And right now he's just not doing that. And I just feel like with the couple of these little injuries that the Mavs have right now, they're just not playing good, and they just need to get full strength so then they can go ahead and make another little run as well too. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But that's my thoughts on tonight. I'm taking the home team here to win this game. So there it is. There it is. Let's go ahead and jump into Talking Tickets. Now, with Talking Tickets, let's go ahead and jump into our pick six. Up first is the primetime pick six, 43-1. FAU is a -9 tonight, the number 21 team in the nation. Let's see what they can do. That game is going to be on CBS Sports as well, too. We got the +13 on SMU tonight in their spot against Memphis. Also, we have Tennessee State, who is a live dog, in my opinion, as well, too. You can bet a money line if you like them that much with the +7. So we'll see how it goes, see how it shakes out. But I do like them with the +7 tonight. And then we got St. Thomas Connect. We age neck and neck. Our future's set. So we got the -105 with St. Thomas tonight in their matchup. And then we have Sam Houston tonight with the -6.5 as well, too, in their WAC matchup. And then we finish up with ASU tonight playing against Washington. I'm taking them with the -145. This is going to give us a 43-1 ticket. Now we move forward. Let's go ahead and jump into our dog day pick 4. We have Central Arkansas at +130. That's Central Arkansas right there, y'all. Okay, so UCA means Central Arkansas. Okay, Stony Brook money line is +155. Troy money line is +175, and Omaha money line tonight is +250. So we got a 55-1 ticket that is very, very, and I say very, alive. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. Hopefully we can get this bad boy home. All right, and we finish up with our NBA Super High 5 at 25-1, under 221.5. Knicks and Celtics, +8.5 Pistons, over 234.5 Bulls and Hornets, -9 Cavs, and the Suns money line -120. This is going to be a 25-1 ticket right here. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. And that's going to be my show for today. And pretty much I want to thank you guys very much for tuning in as usual. You guys are the absolute best. And if you are watching the show right now, make sure you retweet, share, whatever you have to do. If you're watching the replay, do the same thing, man. You know what I mean? Let's get these numbers up, as I always like to say, and keep this movement moving. And as I always like to say as well, too, bet with your head, not with your heart. This is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and I'll be right back at you tomorrow to get you ready for the NFL conference championships, get you ready for Saturday in college basketball, and also talk some good Friday night hoops as well too in the Mac Daddy in the Metro. So you guys just make sure to tune in for that. But with that, I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.